Welcome to today's class on differential geometry. Today we discuss a Gauss map. An oriented n surface in Rn plus 1 is more than just an n surface S. It is an n surface S together with a smooth unit normal vector field n on S. An oriented n surface in Rn plus 1 is more than just an n surface S. It is an n surface together with a smooth unit normal vector field n on S. The function n from S to Rn plus 1 associated with the vector field n by n of p is equal to Pn of p belongs to S, actually maps S into the unit n sphere. So corresponding to each point on the P on the surface S, there exists a smooth unit normal vector field, and this unit normal vector field can be mapped to a sphere. Associated to each oriented n surface S is a smooth map n from S to Sn called the Gauss map. The function n from S to Rn plus 1 associated with the vector field n given by n of p is equal to Pn of p belongs to S, actually maps S into the unit n sphere Sn contained in Rn plus 1, since norm of n of p is 1 for all p belongs to S. Thus, associated to each oriented n surface S, there is a smooth map n from S to Sn called the Gauss map. N may be thought of as a map which assigns to each point P belongs to S the point in Rn plus 1 obtained by translating the unit normal vector to the origin. So, in this figure, you can see that this is the n surface S, and this is the point P, and you have a normal vector at P. Then map this to the unit sphere. So this is an example of a Gauss map. So S to Sn. The image of the Gauss map n of S is equal to set of all q belongs to Sn such that q is equal to n of p for some p belongs to S is called the spherical image of the oriented n surface S. So the Gauss map can be illustrated from this figure. Consider the n surface S. Then you can see that this is the unit normal vector field, and these vectors are mapped to this unit circle. So corresponding to each point, each vectors here, there are points on the unit circle. So this is the spherical image of this surface. So n of S is the set of all q belongs to Sn such that q is equal to n of p. Corresponding to this point, there exists a point here. Corresponding to this point, there exists a point here. And corresponding to this point, there exists a point here. So this is the spherical image of the set of vectors here. So this is the spherical image of set of points on this n surface S. We consider another example. Consider surface in R3. So here the case is n equal to 2. Then you consider this surface S. Then you can see that these are all unit normal vector field on S. And corresponding to each point Q here, so you consider a point here, then there exists a point on the unit sphere. So this much portion gives the spherical image of this much portions on S. Now we do some problems. Now we do this question. Describe the spherical image when n equal to 1 and when n equal to 2 of the given n surface. So here the n surface is the cylinder x square plus etc plus xn plus 1 square equal to 1, oriented by del f by norm del f, where f is the function defined by the left hand side of this equation. So f of x1, x2, etc. xn is x2 square plus etc plus xn plus 1 square. F of x1, x2, etc. xn plus 1 is x2 square plus etc plus xn plus 1 square. Now consider the first case. So we'll solve this solution. Case 1, n equal to 2. We are given with we have f of x1, x2, etc. xn plus 1 is equal to x2 square plus x3 square plus etc. plus xn plus 1 square. So when n equal to 2, f of x1, x2, x3 is x2 square plus x3 square. Therefore, S, the surface S is f inverse of 1, that is equal to set of all x1, x2, x3 such that x2 square plus x3 square equal to 1. You know that it is the cylinder. So here the surface is this cylinder, so that this is x1 axis, this is x2 axis, and this is x3 axis. So this is your S, the surface S. So from this you have orientation n of p is given to be del f by norm del f, oriented by del f by norm del f. So n of p is del f of p divided by norm del f of p. So this is equal to p dou f by dou x1, dou f by dou x2, dou f by dou x3. So this is p. You know that f is a function of x1, x2, x3, but it is x2 square plus x3 square. So dou f by dou x1 is 0, dou f by dou x2 is 2x2, and dou f by dou x3 is 2x3. So this is actually p 2 times 0 x2 x3. And therefore norm of del f of p is square root of 0 square plus 2x2 square plus 2x3 square. So this is 2 into square root of x2 square plus x3 square, that is 2 into square root of 1, it is 2, because x2 square plus x3 square is 1. Therefore the orientation n of p is del f of p divided by norm del f of p. This is equal to, at p, this is here del f of p, 2 times 0 x2 x3 divided by 2. So you will get this as 0 x2 x3 at each point p. Therefore you are considering this much points, then you consider a point p here, this will be n of p, and you consider another point p here, this will be n of p, and this will be n of p, this will be n of p, etc. So this is the orientation on the surface. So if you consider a point here, these are n of p's, like this, unit normal vectors at each points. So this is the orientation. Now you have n of s is the spherical image. N of s is set of all q in S3 such that q equal to n of p. So this is set of all q in S3 such that q equal to 0 x2 x3. So we have n of s is set of all q in S3 such that q is equal to n of p. So this is set of all q in S3 such that q is equal to 0 x2 x3. Or you can see that this is equal to set of all q in S3 such that x1 equal to 0 and x2 square plus x3 square equal to 1. So this circle is a spherical image of points on the cylinder. So you can define a function n from this surface S to this surface S3. So this is the spherical image of a point here, of points on the n surface. So you know that n of s is set of all 0, x2, x3 such that x2 square plus x3 square equal to 1. There is a spherical image N of S. So you consider a vector here. This vector is mapped to a vector here. So that corresponding to this point, there is a point on the sphere, this one. So spherical image of this point is this point. Now we consider the case when n equal to 1. Here the function f is from R2 to R such that f of x1, x2 is equal to x2 square. So S is f inverse of 1, that is set of all x1, x2 such that f of x1, x2 equal to 1. That is equal to set of all x1, x2 such that x2 square is 1. So that is set of all x1, 1, x2 minus 1. And you can see that it is this lines, these two lines. These two lines, you can see that a point on, so suppose that this is x1 axis, suppose that this is x1 axis and this is x2 axis, then a point here is of the form x1, 1 and a point here is of the form x1 minus 1, where this is the corresponding x1 here and this is the corresponding x1 here. Now we are going to define an orientation. That is here our surface S is S1 union S2, where S1 is this line and S2 is this line. This is equal to set of all x1, 1 union set of all x1 minus 1. And here del f of p is at p dou f by dou x1, dou f by dou x2. So this is at p. You know that dou f by dou x1, f is x2 square, dou f by dou x1 is a 0, dou f by dou x2 is 2x2. And you know that norm del f of p is, this is equal to square root of 0 plus 2x2 square. So this is 2x2 whole square. So this is square root of 4x2 square. So this is 2 root x2 square. So this is 2 into, you know that x2 square is 1, so 2 into root 1, so this is 2. Therefore, the normal vector field n of p is p 0 to x2 divided by 2. So this is at p 0 x2. Therefore, if p belongs to S1, then n of p is 0, 1. If p is a point here, and if p belongs to S2, then n of p is 0 minus 1. So if p is a point here, then if p is a point here. So if p is a point here, then you know that n of p is 0x1. 0x1 is this vector, so this is the vector 0x1. This is the orientation at this point, and at this point this is the orientation. So you can have orientations like this. These are the orientations on these two lines. Now we can have another orientation. If this is n1 of p, then minus n of p is the N2 of P. We have two more orientations. N of P minus N of P. That is minus N of P equal to 0 minus 1 if P belongs to S1, and minus N of P is 0, 1 if P belongs to S2. These are the orientations. This is minus N on S1, and this is minus N on S2. These are orientations on S2. So you have first orientation drawn as purple vectors and second orientation drawn as green vectors. The surface has more than two orientations because it is not connected. You know that S is the union of these two lines, so it is not connected though. So the above surface S has more than two orientations. So that you can write as a remark. The surface S has more than two orientations on S since S is not connected. Now you can define one more orientation. Define N1 of P as P01 and N2 of P as P0 minus 1. Then N1 and N2 are another pair of distinct orientations. So that is given by first pair. At each point you are assigning the vector 0, 1. So 0, 1 is this vector, so this is the orientation. At each point you are assigning the vector 0, 1 like this. And here also you are assigning the vector 0, 1. This is the first orientation. So this is your N1 of P. And another pair, N2 of P, is at each point you are assigning the vector 0, minus 1. So you consider this. This is the vector 0, minus 1. Like this. At each point P on the surface you are assigning 0, minus 1. So this is an orientation. So as a whole you have four orientations. So you have four orientations. First orientation, N of P is 0, 1 if P belongs to S1 and 0, minus 1 if P belongs to S2. You know that this is S1 and this is S2. So that is given by this orientation. You know that 0, 1 is this vector, so this one. So this is the orientation. First orientation. Like this. Here This is the first orientation. Now second orientation is n of p is n1, n2 of p is minus n1 of p. That is 0 minus 1 if p belongs to S1 and 0 1 if p belongs to S2. So that is this orientation, 0 minus 1 if p belongs to S1 like this, and 0 1 if p belongs to S2. This one. And third orientation, n3 of p is p01 for all p belongs to S. So that is this. At each point you are assigning the vector 0 1. This one. Here also you are assigning the vector 0 1. And fourth orientation, n4 of p is p 0 minus 1 for all p in S. So that is this vector. At each point p you are assigning 0 minus 1. This one. Etc. Now we can discuss the spherical images corresponding to these four orientations. Then n1 of S, the spherical images. n1 of S is the set 0 1 0 minus 1. So that is these 2 points. This is the spherical image corresponding to the first orientation, these 2 points. And n2 of S, the spherical image corresponding to the second orientation, is also 0 minus 1 0 1. So that is these 2 points, this and this. While the spherical image corresponding to n3 of S, corresponding to the orientation n3 of S, is simply 0 1. That is this point. This is a spherical image corresponding to this orientation n3, and spherical image corresponding to n4. n4 of S is the set 0 minus 1. So this is this point, 0 minus 1. So these are the 4 spherical images corresponding to these 4 orientations. So this you can write as a remark. The above example says that the theorem, every connected n-surface has exactly 2 orientations fails if we drop connectedness of the surface. Now we prove this theorem. Let S be a compact, connected, oriented end surface in Rn plus 1, exhibited as a level set F inverse of C of a smooth function f from Rn plus 1 to R with del f of p not equal to 0 for all p in S. Then the Gauss map maps S onto the unit sphere Sn. So the theorem says that the spherical image of a connected, compact, oriented end surface is the whole Sn. That is, n of S is Sn. The idea of the proof is as follows. Given a V in Sn, so you consider a vector V in Sn, consider the n plane V perp. So you consider this plane, this is V perp, perpendicular to V. By moving this n plane far enough in the V direction, so you move this plane in this direction, it will have a null intersection with S, bringing back that n plane until it just touches S at some point P. So you move this plane as far as possible, then bring back such that that plane will touch this surface S at some point P. So at some point P, V perp will be a tangent plane. Hence at this point, n of P is plus or minus P. Because V is the unit vector, it is in Sn. So n of P is either plus P or minus P. If n of P is minus P, then n of Q will be V, where Q is obtained similarly by moving the n plane in the opposite direction. So more precisely, consider the function g from Rn plus 1 to R defined by g of P is equal to P dot V. That is g of, so suppose the point P is x1, x2, etc. xn plus 1. Therefore, g of x1, x2, etc. xn plus 1 is a1 x1 plus etc. plus an plus 1 xn plus 1, where V is the vector a1, a2, etc. an plus 1. The level sets of G are the n planes parallel to V perp. Level sets is the G inverse of C. G inverse of C is a set of all x1, x2, etc. xn such that a1 x1 plus a etc. plus an plus 1 xn plus 1 is equal to some C. So that is actually n planes which are parallel to V perp, because V perp is like this. You are getting this n planes a1 x1 plus etc. plus an plus 1 xn plus 1 is equal to C, such that this vector is perpendicular to this plane. So the vector V perp will be parallel to this plane. So the level sets of G are the n planes parallel to V perp. Since S is compact, the restriction to S of the function G attains its maxima and minima. So if you restrict G to S, since S is compact, the restriction to S of the function G attains its maxima and minima, say P and Q respectively. So P and Q are the maxima and minima of G restricted to S. So by Lagrange multiplier theorem, you know that PV is del GP because the vector V is orthogonal to this. So PV is equal to del GP. So that is equal to lambda times some del FP. So that is equal to lambda times modulus of del F, norm of del FP times n of P for some lambda belongs to R. Hence, V and n of P are multiples of one another. Since both are unit vectors, you can see that V and n of P are multiples, and since n of P is a unit vector, we must have V is n of P must be equal to plus or minus P. Similarly, n of Q is equal to plus or minus P. Now we check n of Q. So it remains to check that n of Q not equal to n of P. For this, we construct a continuous function alpha from AB to Rn plus 1, differentiable at A and B such that alpha of A equal to P, alpha of B is equal to Q, and alpha dot of A is equal to PV, alpha dot of B is equal to QV, and condition 2. Now to construct alpha, since S is compact, you can enclose S in a sphere S1 of a sufficiently large radius. So enclose S in the interior of a large sphere S1. This is possible since S is compact. you set alpha 1 of t is equal to p plus tv. So you are defining a function alpha 1 of t is equal to p plus tv in the interval 0 less than or equal to t less than or equal to a1, where a1 is such that alpha 1 of a1 belongs to s1. So this are the image, this will be the image of alpha 1 because it is p plus tv. So you know that the vector v is in this direction and at the point p, and alpha 1 of tv is defined as p plus tv, a line which is parallel to v. So this is image of alpha 1. So you define alpha 1 such that alpha 1 of a1 belongs to s1. So the endpoint, image of the endpoint belongs to s1. So this is s1. So this is the image of alpha 1. And you set alpha 2 is equal to q minus tv. So this is this segment. You know that minus v is in this direction, or this vector is minus v. So q minus tv such that alpha 2 of t is q minus tv, where 0 less than or equal to t less than a2. 0 less than or equal to t less than a2, where alpha 2 of a2 belongs to s1. So you have constructed this segment. So this is the image of alpha 2. So you have, this is the image of alpha 1 in the direction of v. This is the image of alpha 2. It is a line segment in the direction of minus v by these two definitions. And now you set alpha 3 from closed interval b1, b2 to s1 be such that alpha 3 of b1 is this one and alpha 2 of b2 is this point. So you are constructing this path, or a path on the sphere S. Such an alpha 3 exists because S1 is connected, you know, S1 is connected, and these are two different points on the sphere S1. So such a construction is possible. So such an alpha 3 exists because the n sphere S1 is connected for n greater than or equal to 1. Then the function alpha defined by, you define alpha as first the path joining these two as alpha. For a 0 less than t less than a1, you consider this a segment. For b1 to b2, you consider this as the segment. And for a1 plus b2 minus b1 less than t less than or equal to a1 plus a2 plus b2 minus b1, you take b as a1 plus a2 plus b2 minus b1. Then this is your alpha of t. So alpha of t is defined as the alpha 1 of t for 0 less than or equal to t less than a1, and alpha 3 of t plus b1 minus a in the interval a1 less than t less than a1 plus b2 minus b1, and alpha 2 of a1 plus a2 plus b2 minus b1 minus t if a1 plus b2 minus b1 less than or equal to t less than or equal to a1 plus a2 plus b2 minus b1. Now you can see that this alpha of t has the required properties where a is 0 and b is a1 plus a2 plus b2 minus b1. Now the required properties are, the first one, alpha of a. You know that alpha of a is alpha 1 of a. You know that a is 0. So this is equal to, our choice is a is 0. So this is alpha of 0. So this is alpha 1 of 0. You know that it is alpha 1 of 0 is the point P. Alpha 1 of 0 is P. It is because it is P plus TV at t equal to 0. So this is P plus 0V. So this is P. That is alpha of A is P. Now the second condition, alpha of B. So that is equal to alpha of, you know, B is A1 plus A2 plus B2 minus B1. So that is alpha 2 of. So at this point, you know that this is the function alpha 2 of A1 plus A2 plus B2 minus B1 minus T, where T is this point. So A1 plus A2 plus B2 minus B1. So this is equal to alpha 2 of A1 cancels, A2 cancels, B2 cancels, and B1 also cancels. So this is alpha 2 of 0. You know that alpha 2 is Q minus TV. So this is Q minus TV at t equal to 0. So this is Q. Therefore, alpha of B is equal to Q. Now, alpha dot of A. Now, alpha dot of A is equal to, at P, you have d by dt of alpha 1 of t. So this is d by dt of, you know, that is P plus TV. So this is B acting at P. That is alpha dot of A is the vector PV. Vector V acting at PV. Now we show that alpha dot of B is equal to QV. Alpha dot of B is d by dt of alpha of t at B, t equal to B. You know that alpha of t at t equal to B is alpha 2 of A1 plus A2 plus B1 minus B2 minus B1 minus t. So this is equal to d by dt of alpha 2 of A1 plus A2 plus B2 minus B1 minus t. So let U is equal to A1 plus A2 plus B2 minus B1 minus t. So when t equal to B, we have B is actually A1 plus A2 plus B1 minus B2 minus B1. So when t equal to B, you know that U is 0. That is, therefore alpha dot of B is d by dt of, so this is equal to d by du of alpha 2 of U into du by dt. So this is d by du of P minus U into vector V into du by dt, that is minus 1. So this is minus V into minus 1. So this is V. This is acting at alpha 2 of 0. Because when t is B, U is 0. So at alpha 2 of 0, you know that alpha 2 of 0 is Q. Therefore, alpha dot of B is Q B. So this proves first condition for alpha. Now we prove condition 2, second property for alpha. Now we prove the second property for alpha. We have G composition alpha 1 prime of t. This is equal to delta G of alpha 1 of t dot alpha 1 dot of t. So this is equal to, you know that delta G alpha 1 of t is alpha 1 of t, V acting at alpha 1 of t. So this is actually V dot V. Alpha 1 of t, alpha 1 dot of t is V, because you know that alpha 1 is P plus TV. So this is greater than 0. Therefore, G is increasing on alpha 1. And the maximum value of G is attained on S at P equal to alpha 1 of 0. This you know. Therefore, alpha 1 of t does not belong to S for t greater than 0, because the maximum value on p is at alpha 1 of 0. So g is increasing on alpha 1. So alpha 1 of t does not belongs to S for t greater than 0. Also, G composition alpha 2 prime of t. This is equal to del G of alpha 2 of t dot alpha 2 dot of t. So this is, this is V, and alpha 2 dot of t is minus V, because alpha 2 is Q minus TV. So alpha 2 dot is minus V. So this is less than 0. Therefore, G is decreasing along alpha 2. And the minimum value of G is attained at Q is equal to alpha 2 of 0. Therefore, alpha 2 of t does not belong to S for t greater than 0. And you know that alpha 3 of t, so we have alpha 3 of t belongs to S1, and S1 intersection S is empty. This implies alpha 3 of t, this does not belongs to S for all t in closed interval B1, B2. Therefore, alpha of t does not belong to S for A less than t less than B, where A is 0. Now it remains to check that n of q not equal to n of p. If n is equal to del f by norm del f, then f composition alpha prime of A is del f of alpha of A dot alpha dot of A. So this is equal to del f of p into n of p dot pb. So this is del f of p n of p dot b. Similarly, f composition alpha prime at b is del f of q into n of q dot b. So the derivative f composition alpha prime has the same sign at both endpoints. If n equal to minus del f by norm del f, the same conclusion holds. Thus, if n of p were equal to n of q, if n of p is equal to n of q, then f composition alpha would be either increasing at both endpoints or decreasing at both endpoints. Since f composition alpha of A is f of alpha of A, that is equal to C, this would imply that there exists T1 and T2 between A and B with f composition alpha of T1 greater than C and f composition alpha of T2 less than C. But then by intermediate value theorem, there would exist a T3 between T1 and T2 such that f composition alpha of T3 equal to C. This will contradict our condition. So this proves that theorem.